I wanted to do a little video to just explain how we've done the first language atelier this morning, or language atelier day. Brilliant. So actually it took us 30 minutes rather than 20 minutes because we had a little chat between each of the three exercises. So the first thing we did was check in with, did we have an audio that was aligned with our goals, right? So I used a YouTube video from Jessica Trois. She's someone that has a podcast I really like. She interviews a lot of different guests. She has a presence on Instagram. She has a business that has different parts to it. She's a little younger than me. She's 31 instead of 38. But I know that her vocabulary is going to be very relevant for me, right? So when I'm learning another language, I want to make sure that I'm getting the expressions and the slang that are the equivalent of what I would be using in English. I don't want to be doing transcription and picking up vocabulary from somebody in their 80s that is a journalist or a news presenter, for example, right? Or somebody that uses, a good example is like somebody that works in finance, right? The coach that has influenced me the most in the last few years, you probably know, is Vicky from Time Hackers, who I work with, right? And Vicky's background was finance and business. So a lot of the language that she uses will be connected to that. And that doesn't necessarily resonate with the people that I work with. We use a lot of language about nature, about animals, okay? And so we can be talking about the same thing, but using different language and different analogies. So that's why it's very careful. It's very important. Very excited. It's very important to pick the right person. And again, like, relax, okay? You can change it. If you start with somebody and you're like, I don't like this, you can change them. So that's why I picked Jessica Trois. The reasoning behind it, just so you know. So then we did our first 5 minutes was transcription. So I'm going to show you exactly what I have. So Juanpe used Stolen Focus, Johan Hari, so that's why I've got that up here. And I'll put the photograph of this so that you can see. So this is what I took in the first section. So this was 5 minutes of transcription for me. It's about 15 seconds of audio, okay? It is not a lot. We're not trying to get lots and lots because for me, there's enough learning in these 15 seconds that if I can go deep with that, that is going to really help me to build momentum. Now, my level in French right now, it's August the 5th, 2024, is A2, right? I'm very, very beginner. So some really interesting things. When I reviewed it with the subtitles, I noticed that I was missing little particles. So instead of like 30 and 1, I only heard 31. What I am noticing here is I can hear the connected speech, right? So if you're a language learner and you've learned English, you might know about that. What I'm also doing is putting like alternatives here. So again, as you start to do this, you'll find your own way of like giving yourself little singles and little signals. Okay, so that was the first thing, the first 5 minutes. Now, the second 5 minutes, we do writing. So because my level is very basic, what I did is I used that writing space to go through with the transcription, right, and adapt it to talk about my own life. We want to take the vocabulary we're exposing ourselves to and internalize it so that we can use it to talk about our own lives as quickly as possible. So you'll see here, I've changed it immediately to, okay, je m'appelle Emma Laval, j'ai 38 ans. Okay, so I'm putting my age instead of this person's age. I'm the founder of the Life Atelier instead of the founder of Septem. And I'm changing these words so that I'm getting these expressions to actually have conversation and connect. Because we're learning a language to connect with people. We're not learning it to have perfect grammar. We're learning it to correct. Juanpe did, let's see, did I have anything to share on that one? Yeah, he was also adapting it to talk about his office, and he got some like 2 great bits of vocabulary, which was like over caffeinated and underslept, right? So if you think about it, if you're studying English in a textbook or a language in a textbook, you're not really going to learn expressions like over caffeinated and underslept, right? But when you're meeting someone and introducing them and you want to be funny and connect with them, these are the expressions that we want to be using. Now, the final step, and this was a really interesting one today, is speaking. So I used to recommend you use Otter. I'm going to update that. Put ChatGPT on your phone. Okay, so we did two quite different things because we have different levels. So remember, I've got basic French. So for me, what I did was I actually had a conversation with ChatGPT that was more writing than speaking. Okay. And what I did was I gave, in that 5 minutes, I gave my adapted version of this to ChatGPT, and I asked her to help me, or asked it to help me to check the grammar, to check how natural it sounds. I explained in English, this is actually what my business is. Does this expression, do these expressions represent that in French? If not, what can we do? What can we change? So you'll see there's actually more English than French in this. But at the end, I've got a really lovely paragraph that explains what the Life Atelier does, right? So yes, it's about helping you take control of your life, which is the apprendre le pouvoir sur la vie, sur le vie, which is something that I was like, what does that mean when I was listening to it? And now I know, like, okay, to take control of your life, this is how we express this in French. But then the difference between what I do and this lady does is we have simple, powerful tools that you can use and implement in under 10 minutes a day. So I explained that in English, translated that back into French, and now I've got a paragraph that I am going to memorize at some point during today. I might take a few minutes now to memorize it. I'll have a little coffee break first. Okay, but we want to make sure that we're getting those expressions, that we're building up how we can speak naturally. So that's your version of doing that if you are beginner, elementary. What Juanpe did, which is very exciting, is he has ChatGPT on his phone. That means he can speak with the microphone, right? So he's now having a spoken conversation where ChatGPT responds with writing, but he's speaking. So what he said to her was, okay, can you correct my grammar? I'm going to talk about this topic and I'd love feedback on my grammar. Okay, so he used the topic that he had been writing about, the vocabulary of overcaffeinated and underslept, and ChatGPT, the feedback she gave him was correction on the verbs, correction on the particles, and also the word order, right? So we can use that function for our speaking. So what I'm going to do today is add the thing that I'm going to implement immediately, because what we always want to do in the Life Atelier with coaching is think about one thing that we can implement right now. Okay, if we're just implementing one thing a day or one thing at a time, we move more quickly instead of like making a list of things to do later that we never do. Okay, so I'm going to download ChatGPT on my phone. First, I'm going to take a little break because it's really important we take breaks so that our brain can actually absorb and process what it is that we've discovered, what it is that we've learned. And then I'm going to just have a quick play to see if I can speak in French using the microphone and get the same results that Juanpe did, which means I can jump a level, right? And then I'm going to get on and take my calls and do my work day. So it's 9:10 and I've already done my future self journaling and I've really done like the deep language learning work for the day with the daily 3. I've got a call this afternoon with a conversation partner. So if you're like pushing with your language and you really want to make some progress, contact me, because inside the paid community, but I might do it for the free community as well, I'm connecting people so that you can set up an actual conversation with somebody else, another member of our community, and practice your language skills. Now, if you're not learning a language, but you would just like to connect with other people, you can offer a skill, right? I'm now doing 30 minutes of coaching for my partners, giving them a free 30 minutes of coaching in exchange for their 30 minutes of French and feedback, because I realized it wasn't like, okay, they can practice English with anyone, but what can I give them? I can give them a really great coaching session for 30 minutes. So you might find that actually somebody wants to learn about a skill that you have and you can offer that instead as well. All right, lovelies, if you're not already in the challenge, join us. We'll be back tomorrow morning.